All right. So, welcome to the spiritual mountain you must climb. This is going to be a very fascinating conversation. And how I will set this up here is I'm going to, of course, be giving you the information and taking you through the journey of Capricorn. And when I'm all done is when I'll open it up so that we can have have a discussion. And I know that some of you were on the call last month when we did Sagittarius, or I should say, was it last month? Yeah, last month when we did Sagittarius. So I definitely want to hear if you have any feedback from that of how that is relating to what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm going to tie it in. So I'm going to do a little bit of a review, a very short review, so that I can segue into this Capricorn energy very easily for all of us to track. And before I do that, I got to do a couple of announcements because I got to do my duty as a entrepreneur here. And the first thing I want to do is to share that this coming year, 2024, I'm going to do two trips to Shasta. The first one is closed, we're full, but the second one is open, and I do have some slots available, and that is from September 19th to the 23rd. So that's on the docket and open. The other thing that I'm going to be doing, and it's called the Feminine Frequency Festival, and it is geared toward women. Nothing personal against men. We love our men. I love our men. But this is a woman out of San Francisco. She's a young woman, and this is actually a group that's on Facebook. And this feminine frequency festival, is about over 90 different healers in the healing arts like myself that are coming together to do these Facebook lives from December 21st to January 1st. And the only thing you have to do is just join the group. And I'm going to send an email with the link to that. It's also on my pages in Facebook. If you want to check that link out, all you got to do is join. And it's just going to run. So we're just doing like 20-minute Facebook lives. You catch them when you catch them. You can go back and look at them. They're just going to be in the feed. And I've been, in the group, and I've been just connecting with some of the women and listening to, and reading some of the things that people do. And it is such an array of different stuff. And I think it's just going to be really cool. And I love this whole concept of what she's doing, because it's not like, oh, you got to submit your email, then you get a bunch of emails, then you're on this whole email thing. This is just, you just click and join. If you want to opt out, easy to opt out. And I'm excited to hear some of the different speakers. I mean, animal communicators, Tantra, chakra system. My friend Maria, who's on right now, she's going to be speaking on that Friday, December 29th. That's when I'm going to be speaking as well. So she's amazing, does amazing work. We can't see her picture here, but she's also going to be joining me in Shasta for the second trip. So yeah, some good stuff happening. The third announcement and last is, some of you may have gotten this email and some of you have not. If you registered the second time, then you did receive this email. But those of you who have not received it, I will be sending it out with the recording. Is I'm going to do a special offer, and it is as we're going through this whole 12-month thing each month, whether you attend or not, it's only for those of you who have signed up. And if you want to go deeper into anything that we've spoken about, as stuff comes up, I'm offering a 50-minute session. The cost of that is $77. And that's good for like each month you're able to use that. So I'll send that link out as well in the email when I send the recording out. And give me a couple days to send the recording out. Okay, so with that said, got that out of the way, all the head stuff. Now we're going to go into the work here. So for those of you who haven't heard me say this, I'm going to repeat a few things here just so that we keep this whole nice continuum of energy and theme. So astrology, I want to invite you to look at astrology as archetypal teachers of the path. And the path is your path, your spiritual path, my spiritual path, the journey. Okay. And so as we go through these different signs, each one of these signs relate to something that you will experience and have experienced on your path of awakening. And understanding these archetypal teachers are very key to understanding your journey. And I think many of you have probably, I'm sure, figured out like, oh yeah, like I definitely see how when I talk more about Capricorn and these signs of like Sagittarius and Scorpio, it's like, oh yeah, I can see how that's true for me. But it's really helpful when we can actually get this and put it into words to where it's like this pattern, this outline, and then we can refer to this outline as like, oh, this is the place that I am right now, so we can be patient with our processes. Okay, and that will make more sense as I continue. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a review. And the last talk that I had that we did, let me pull my notes up here. I talked about Sagittarius. And I also mentioned Scorpio. And because I didn't get the inspiration to do this until after Scorpio energy was finished, and, too many things going on in November for me, my birthday, of course, because I'm a Scorpio. But I'm going to go over this a little bit because it's going to segue into Capricorn. And what I mentioned last time when we spoke was how these three signs, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, work together. And they really help bring some clarity to define the spiritual path for us. Now, Scorpio is the sign of the shadow. It is the energy. Let me click admit to get somebody in here. It is the energy that and the theme of when we're going through that really hard kind of work and we're looking at our shadow and we're looking at our stuff and we're being tested on things. That's the nature of Scorpio. It's the world of mystery. It's the world of the unknown. Okay. So Scorpio is, let me see, somebody needs to mute themselves. Here, let me just hit mute. There we go. Got it. Okay. So Scorpio is in November month. And then we move to Sagittarius, and that's what we spoke about last month. So Sagittarius is the vision. It's the vision that we have. It's the desire. It's the dream. It's the voice of what the soul is speaking, which prompts us to have some kind of aim. And I talked about how that arrow is the arrow of aspiration. And I also spoke about how Scorpio is considered to be the valley. So it's the valley. So when we're in the valley, we're in kind of the drudge and the more of the harder work that we're trying to understand and see ourselves from. And then when we go through this process of Scorpio and we reach a level of transformation, then we arrive at the archetype of Sagittarius, which is the plane. And now if you think about what a plane is, it's like you can see forever. And so now we have clarity. And that's what Sagittarius brings. It brings clarity. It brings new beginning. There's this vision, there's this aim that that our heart and that our soul is wanting to move toward. And then what happens is then we see the mountain. Okay. And this is where Capricorn comes in. And so the mountain is actually the vision. So we have this vision of this idea of this fire, this inspiration in Sagittarius. And then we actually see the mountain, which is the actual vision. Now, the mountain is actually earth energy because Capricorn is earth energy. So this is that thing that we know that we must do. And that's why I called this talk, The Spiritual Mountain You Must Climb, because this isn't a must from an ego perspective. This is a must from like the mystic that says, this is what I must do. This is what I'm called to do. Okay. Now I'm going to pause there and I'm going to explain a little bit about the difference between traditional astrology and esoteric astrology to help you understand what I'm about to, when we get more into Capricorn. Okay. So traditional astrology. Traditional astrology is that astrology that deals with our personality. So it says, oh, so if you're a Sagittarius, this tends to be your tendencies. If you're an Aquarius, this tends to be how you're going to react. That's the personality. But when we get into the esoteric part of astrology and that study, that is about the spirit and the soul nature. And that goes deeper. That's where we're not dealing with the lower nature of the ego. We're dealing with the higher nature of the self. And this is the whole spiritual piece that I'm talking about, like the spiritual path. This is the awakening. And we don't come to that until we've had an awakening. Other than that, we're dealing with more of the mundane, linear, literal way of being with life. Okay. Esoteric astrology deals with the abstract, the symbolic, and the wisdom. And that's going to come clear to you what I mean by these differences as I describe Capricorn energy. Okay. So let's go into Capricorn. So Capricorn is symbolized by the mountain and the goat. And it's the goat that has to make that arduous climb to the mountaintop. Now, for the most part, if we're not for the most part, when we're dealing with the traditional aspect of astrology, which is the personality of Capricorn, that's about climbing the mountain of ambition. So if you think about this in your life, early in your life, and it's like when we're in school or we're in high school and we're getting ready to graduate, and everybody's saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? What are you going to do with your life? Like that's that very Capricorn, like what mountain are you going to climb? Because basically that's what they're asking. What mountain are you going to climb? Or are you going to climb any mountain? Are you going to stay on the plane and just kind of hang out down there? Do you have a vision? And so there's all this pressure of this ambition, this career. So this mountain is called the Mount of Ambition. And that's how the personality relates to this first part of Capricorn and how we first experience this archetype of Capricorn in our life. And so when climbing this mountain, what motivates us is the outer influences. The outer influences our life. So it's like our tribe, our family, the culture, our teachers, our friends, whatever, people around us, like that's what influences our ambition. And I mean, we ourselves can be influenced by our own self, right? But initially it's more from the personality. Like, what am I going to become? What am I going to do? And there's nothing wrong with this. This is part of the path. It's just, it's part of the path of life. I mean, this is how we survive. This is how we, manage ourselves in the world. So in climbing this ladder, it can be about success, about money, about expectations. It has to do with like the status quo, like I said, the tribe, society, ego. But what happens in this process is that ambition gives way to purpose. So this is something that I hear this a lot from just various people that I sometimes come across. And it's like, so they'll say to a young person, so what are you going to do? And maybe the person answers, and then the response is, wow, how are you going to make a living like that? Or they don't pay very much, or you ought to be a lawyer because they make a lot of money. There's all these different cultural conditionings that people and parents and society puts on us. That is considered to be the lower nature of Capricorn, the personality of Capricorn. Okay. And you'll see as I continue forward, there is this theme of ambition. So that ambition does not change. It's just the energy in which that ambition is expressed is what changes. So the other thing that Capricorn is, it's also the sign of initiation. And this initiation, what it does is if you think about initiation, I mean, what does it do? It initiates us into something like the next level of something, some level of maturity. So when we're small children and we're at home and then we get initiated into school, that's like our first step in initiation. And so this is all part of these steps that we're taking it. And these are part of the mountain that we're climbing. So if you think about that goat, like a goat is a very sure-footed animal. And these mountain goats, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they can climb these mountains. It's absolutely incredible to see how they do this. But this is what we do initially in life, is we're climbing that mountain. And through those steps, and each step that we come to, each switchback, those are the things on the mountain, is some level of initiation we have just moved into, different than where we were. So are you guys getting the gist of the Capricorn energy and what it means? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on. Let's move on from that and go to the awakening. So then at some point in our life, we have some kind of awakening. And maybe we've been doing a career for a long time and we realize, you know what? It's just not fulfilling me. It's just not doing it for me. And this isn't about going finding another career, although that's what some people do. It's about finding that deeper calling inside. It's following that voice in the heart, which is the vision of Sagittarius, which is that aspiration. And sometimes we don't even know what it is. Many times we don't know what it is. We just know that we need to, there's something else, another mountain we must climb. And this mountain, here's the thing about Capricorn, there's not just one mountain, there's actually two mountains. And this second mountain is called the Mount of Spirit. The first one in the personality is the Mount of Ambition. This one is the Mount of Spirit. And in the study of esotericism, which is theosophy, what they call like individuals when they have awakened, were referred to as disciples. And I love that because I love that word because it's so powerful. And a disciple is someone who follows that higher prompting, where that path that they know that they must do. They become a loyal disciple to the path. And so when this awakening occurs, what happens is the disciple has awakened and it realized that it must ascend to another mountaintop, and the Mount of Spirit. And this Mount of Spirit is actually represents the mountain of consciousness. So it's about raising one's consciousness to a higher place. And this climb is not the external climb of ambition. This is the internal climb of awakening. And I love this. I think this is so poetic and so beautiful. So this, when on the path and we're on this inward climb, this inner mountain, what we are striving for is to balance our consciousness at a subtler and wiser perch. So what does that balance mean? That balance is the essential need for us to live a grounded spiritual life while simultaneously extending ourselves to the mountaintop of consciousness. So it is about being grounded in the physical, being grounded on the earth plane, while simultaneously reaching for consciousness, which is that higher vibration, that higher frequency. So many times I'm going to do a little side note here, I'm sure that you yourselves meet people where they're in the ethers. They live in the ethers of spirituality and their energy is not grounded. But this is what Capricorn teaches us, is that we must ground that energy. We are of the earth. We are not just of spirit, we are of the earth. And it is the balance between those two things within us. So this process that I'm talking about here on the mountain, it's a, just as I said before, it is a step-by-step process. And if you can think about your own spiritual path, it's like, yeah, this is a step-by-step process. And we must be sure-footed, just like the goat, and disciplined. And what we find is when we first start out on this path, it's actually easier at the lower levels. And it's like climbing any mountain that you would climb. And, a mountain isn't always straight up. A mountain, there are switchbacks. We're going back and forth. We go up and we go across. And that's exactly how the path of awakening in our spiritual, our own heroic journey happens. And then when you get higher on the mountain, you may come to a fog and you may go, wait a minute, I thought this is what was my purpose. wait a minute, have I lost my vision? We go through these different trials and tribulations on the mountain. So as I said earlier with Capricorn, it is the sign of initiation. And this is the initiation into higher consciousness. This is about spiritual maturity. Yes, there is hard work involved, but it's also about responsibility. And it's a responsibility to one's own destiny. And responsibility to one's own destiny and responsibility to the ashram. This is what one of my teachers put it this way. He says, you have a responsibility to the ashram, and this is the ashram of life, meaning that you've come here to be of service in some way. And service can look all kinds of ways. Service can look like every time you're out, you smile at people and you bring some form of joy or smile to their life. It's not a tangible thing, and it can be. It's an inward expression. So when I said the sign of initiation, in this area, in this timing, in this awakening of your life, what it requires you to do is to drop the excess matter and waste that is weighing you down. Okay? So you must free yourself from the binds that limit your life. And for those of you who have worked with me and we have done astrological readings, I always talk about Saturn. And let me explain why. Because Capricorn, every sign in astrology has a partner planet. It's called a rulership. The rulership of Capricorn is Saturn. Saturn says you must drop the excess weight. I'm going to show you where you're limiting yourself. I'm going to show you where you have come here to bring mastery to your life in this area. And for those of you who know the Sophia code, it is remembering the master within. And that's what this part of the journey is about. So what do you free yourself? You free yourself from relationship stuff, if that's what it is. For some people, it could be financial. For many of us, it's some form of addiction, right? Addictions can come in all sorts, but that's part of that excess that weighs us down. So this is also where people can get really stuck. And the thing about this mountain is not the biggest mountain. That first mountain of ambition is the biggest mountain. This mountain is actually smaller, but it's steeper. Therein lies the difference. This is a steeper mountain to climb. So now I'm going to take you to the, like, so to speak, the culmination of this journey of Capricorn. So the culmination of the journey in Capricorn is that when that goat finally makes it to the mountaintop, it is transformed. And it is transformed into the unicorn. I know. Oh my God. So what that is, that goat with the two horns, one is the personality, ego, the other one is the soul and spirit. And that then becomes fused as one. And therein lies the balance. Isn't that beautiful? And so now fused, right? It's like, if you think about like imagine a unicorn at the top of a mountain, and that one horn is like thrusted to the heavens. That symbolized spiritual enlightenment, spiritual initiation. It is a form of an arrival. So once the disciple, which is you, has reached that place of light, and it's imagine like being on the mountaintop and just having your arms open and just feeling that heart opening and that light. And I'm sure that many of you have experienced those moments of that. But here's what happens next. all of a sudden there's a sound, and it's a cry. And that cry is the suffering of humanity. And that is when the disciple, it's called the pivot on the pedestal, makes a 180-degree turn, and it carries down the mountain the light of love and the light of wisdom to humanity, to the culture, to civilization. And that's where we make our practical contribution to the betterment of something greater. And that is why Capricorn is also called the practical mystic. So inwardly, you reach for the stars, but you keep your feet on the ground, like I said earlier. And the mountaintop is the high point of consciousness that you can reach and hold. And the bottom of the mountain is that of practical service. And this is the union of those two things. I mentioned last time when we were on the call, I mentioned Martin Luther King, and one of his quotes was that I have a vision. And he was also born in the sign of Capricorn. But here's another one of his quotes: I have been to the mountaintop, and I have seen. So these three symbols of Scorpio and Sagittarius and Capricorn, symbolizes the process of transformation for us, the journey, our heroic journey. So I just want to invite you to use this as a guide of understanding to help you in any times that you may need it, to just understand like how, like another way to look at like, wow, this is how life operates on some level. And just reflect on the many mountains that you have climbed in your life, because we've climbed many mountains in our lifetime, and we will continue to climb many mountains in our life. So I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to check in and see if anybody has anything that they want to share or any questions they want to ask. And even like with our last call about the vision and the mountain, I mean, can you articulate maybe what mountain you're climbing, or what vision you have? And it's not about being at these certain places, although I think that many of you could probably relate that you might feel these energies right now happening in your body, that yeah, maybe there is a mountain I'm climbing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pause, and you can raise your hand, or raise the little symbol, or unmute, and yeah, really want to hear what you have to say. Lucy, are you unmuted because you want to talk, or? Oh no, you're not unmuted. Okay, sorry. It's the red behind, I thought. Okay, Kim, yes, please.
Yeah. So I had a question about, sometimes it feels like that this was so good. Thank you. Like my brain was just firing with everything. But sometimes it feels like, you move, or I feel like I've moved off of the mountain of ambition and up to that higher level. And then I don't feel I stay there always. I come back down. And so like I didn't hear you say that could be a part of the process, but that feels sometimes like the ego or the humanity pulls back down, and then I have to go, okay, wait, we got to go back up here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Kim. And that's where I was saying at the end, like we have climbed many mountains, right? And we will continue to climb many mountains. And so maybe like in one's life right now, it's like, yeah, there is a mountain that I'm climbing for on my spiritual path of purpose, whatever, or wherever that one may be.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank
Yes.
you. That
Yeah.
helps.
So yeah, it is kind of like a cycle. Karen, please.
Yeah, I just started this probably within the last week. And, I've been complaining to anybody that would listen that I don't seem to know who I am anymore. So I've been, Paul had given me a gift a couple of years ago that I wasn't ready for at the time, but that I'm using right now. And I just kind of realized I needed to start going within and trying to be more present, trying to get away from distractions, especially things like the computer, and my phone and whatever, because I realize just what I'm doing, and it's distracting me from that discomfort. So right now I'm just into you were talking about the discipline and trying to get disciplined again on creating some practices without them being too rigid, like to give myself that flexibility, so that I'm listening more to my heart, because that's actually what Paul gave me. It was called I don't know why I can never remember the name of it. Heart-Minded by Sarah Blondin. And anyway, so that I'm listening more to my heart, and I'm not listening to obligation. I'm not listening to what other people expect of me. I'm not giving my energy away to others. I'm trying to figure out what I need and giving myself that space to explore it. And this that you just were talking about, is just so relevant to where I'm at right now, which of course you already knew because you already told me that I'm in an ending phase or whatever. And I hope that ending is just shedding this skin that just needs to be shed. So yeah, really interesting stuff. It all seems to be kind of confirming that I'm where I need to be right now, even if it is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing all of that. And you brought a word up. Kate, I'll get to you in just one sec. I saw that. You brought a word up and you said discipline. And that is a very Capricornian word. It's an earth word. It's a Capricorn word. It's a Saturnian word. It's like, yes, this is the hard work. This is the discipline. And so what came to my mind when you said that was grace, right? So we stay disciplined, but we also give ourselves the grace through it, because we don't want it to be that personality, ego driven, ambitious way in which energy to come at it from that direction. We want to come at it with the grace. And so that was beautiful. So thank you for bringing that in and for sharing that. Yeah. And I'm hearing you also say that you're getting rid of the excess, like I was talking about, like the excess waste that's weighing you down, which would be like the distractions, is what I heard. Yeah. Thank you. Anne. Oh, Kate. No, it was Kate. Oops. Let's see.
I was just agreeing with what was being said. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Kate. Okay. So let me do Anne and then I'll do Barbara. Oops, but I don't see Anne. Oh, there she is.
Wow. Yeah, this goes right in line with a lot of things I've been walking through, and especially in my business and taking an unexpected pivot because of an experience I went through a couple months ago. And, it's definitely being of service, and it's pushing my comfort zone, and and I will have to be visible, but it's coming together with so much more ease than what I was trying to do. And so I'm going to share what it is, because that's part of what I need to do. I am forming a leg of my company that is going to teach parents how to become advocates for their students, specifically for Spanish speaking, all different. I'm in Denver now, and I am surrounded by so many different languages. I can't even, begin to tell you. I love it. But because of experience I had, and I watched these parents not get what they're supposed to get, I realize this is part of our gap in education. We have people who do not know what their rights are and they don't know how to advocate. So I'm have partnered up with this young Black man. We're going to work together. I mean, it's just like, okay. And yet I love it, but it's definitely, it's a stretch, and I have to, it's visibility. It's going into the community. I've already looked up the Denver Broncos Foundation. I mean, it's just coming together to really be able to, and the model is a train the trainer. It's not about, I'm not about staying there forever. I want to bring these people in. I'm already looking into people that I've met that are Spanish speaking. So again, to replicate and keep this going, and I step out. I can get in. I'm the one who can get into the school system because I know how it works. That's been my life. So,
Yeah, that's
and,
a,
and I
I was
really,
gonna say that's a great example of going back down the mountain is what I'm hearing. Back down the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. Yes.
and the words that come out of my mouth a lot with some close friends is, I feel like I'm shedding my skin. I'm a snake. And it's just like, okay. So I relate to the person who said that in the beginning. So thank you. This has been very interesting.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah. Barbara.
Well, it's just a comment, really. I find it intriguing that this influence of focus and eliminating the excess and discipline occurs during this season, during the holiday season, because talk about distraction. And I'm sure it's not like that for everyone, but I think for a lot of folks, a lot of people, myself, it's a really, because there is a mountain I'm trying to climb, but it is so hard to focus and create some discipline around that right now, and to get to that point of clarity. I just find it intriguing that Capricorn has this sort of influence, and it happens during this season. Just interesting.
Thank you. I'm going to clarify something that could be helpful here, that will be helpful. So the astrological months are very different than the literal months. So they go from the 22nd to the 22nd of each month. And so I'm doing this particular class of Capricorn a little bit early, a few days early, because of the holiday next week. That's too much going on.
Right.
So upon reflection, because this is all part of what you're just talking about, Barbara, like taking this energy now to have it be upon reflection of my life. And then as the holiday passes, then we move that forward to say, okay, upon that reflection, what mountain must I climb?
And so Capricorn is December 22nd to January 21st.
Yeah, right in there. So yeah, it'll be next.
Okay. So most of it is kind of after the holiday then.
Yeah.
For the heavy
Yes.
part of the season.
Yes. Yeah. But we feel it. It's like, these celestial bodies of energy, I mean, we're tapped in, even if we don't even are, aware, conscious of it, we are all tapped in. And so we begin to feel the voices of these archetypes, and many times simultaneously inside of us. And so we're going, it can actually feel a little bit like chaos inside, because we're trying to sort it all out.
Right. It's almost like a bit of a battle. There's the battle of the distraction of the holiday and all that entails. But then also the distraction, not tending to the holiday, because you're feeling this pull to be giving your energy in a different direction, and so it's conflicting. It's a little bit, and then it kind of leads to this sense of, well, I'm not accomplishing on either end, because there's this, I'm doing a little bit here and a little bit there, but while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about that. Does that all make sense? I mean,
it does. And
chaos. It's chaos. Yeah.
But what comes up with that too, Barbara, is that this distraction is also very indicative of our patterns that we create just 24/7 anyway in our lives. And so here comes, a holiday or something, and how distracted do we become, right? Because that's a
Right.
reflection of our own inner way of being in
Right,
life.
right. Our
And
own
so
patterns, right.
yeah, so it's a really good time to clean up, like to clean that up.
Exactly.
Like, whoa, if this feels like that, then like many times people say, well, I'm not doing that again next year, when the
Right,
holidays or that sort of
right,
thing. So,
right,
so just that opportunity
right,
to reflect on that
right.
as well. Yeah, like what really do I want that to look like? Like really, what do I really want that to look like? And then honoring that,
Mhm. Yes,
even though it could upset other people.
right. It
Yeah.
won't. As long as it doesn't upset you, your soul.
Anybody else? Any input on this? Yeah, Paul.
I want to thank you, first of all, for doing all this and connecting. I didn't see that connection coming. The shadow aspect opening up and the Sagittarian, the vision, and then this work. It makes more sense now. And thank everybody who shared and their vulnerability. It was really, really powerful stuff. I've got my own stuff I'm working on, shadow stuff currently. Well, it seems like I'm always doing that. Something seems to be coming up and it's like nagging me again about the protected heart and certain patterns I've seen in myself that I resort to protect the heart instead of speaking my truth. And it's time to let them go. And I really appreciate this session. It's the work. I just want to leave with the thought. I needed a mantra to remember this stuff, and it was Casey Kasem. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Well, to the top of the mountain, but that helps. It helps me remember that there's work to do and something to focus on. So I am complete.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, Casey Kasem. I love that. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Something to share, add to the conversation? Any mountain vision? Go ahead, Maria, please.
Well, I love what you're saying. I'm enjoying it so much. But I have a question for you because when you spoke about this whole journey of the, moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn, but with Capricorn, I just saw our journey, our own evolutionary journey up through our energy system, the chakra system. And then we reach that point, where we open the crown and we connect to spirit. We connect to that which is not the physical. And like you said, that the 180-degree turn. So often in spiritual traditions, it's been about going up, going up, going up, and that's half the journey. We complete the journey as we gain that. We remember we're spirit. We remember we're divine. We awaken, as you've been saying, and then we turn around and we embody that. But I didn't know anything about Capricorn, but it just like I could, that to me just completely embodied that journey. Is that's a specific, the specific, the archetypal energy of the goat and Capricorn, or is that a theme that spills over into other signs?
No, that is Capricorn. That
Wow.
is it. And you know what reminded me of the inward journey? You teach the downward journey also. I mean, upward and downward in its chakra system. And I just never related that either till this moment of you were saying that as well. It's like, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bringing it into manifestation.
Yes.
The embodiment, the integration, that is the downward journey is the integration, the embodiment, because exactly, you guys are following, tracking all of this, right? Because that opening and the knowing, but that just remains knowing until we bring it down.
Why else incarnate? Why would a soul come here? To what? To free itself, to go back, to remember where it came from? Well, then why bother? Just stay there. The idea is we need to now really embody this, and I think that's what this time in our evolution is all about for all of us.
Absolutely. I agree. And I know maybe we talked about this, Maria, I don't know, but so just to piggyback off that, because what's been coming up a lot is the reemergence of the embodiment and the somatic practices that are so important that we begin to revisit. I think it was, oh yeah, well, we were talking about the mind body code, right? And I was just talking about the mind body code with Brenda, who just left, but that's also taking all of that and bringing that into the actual body. So that's the transfiguration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't expect any of that. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to share? This is good stuff. This is powerful, this Capricorn energy piece here. I was really excited to share this with all of you because we can all relate to this, I believe. Yeah. No other comments or questions on this piece? No? Okay. Go ahead, Leslie. Thank you.
I don't have anything to add to this. I am just trying to take it all in. And this is going to be one recording I'll listen to over and over again. But thank you so much. This has really enlightened me about a lot of things today. It really has. And something interesting happened this morning. I don't know what to make of it. When you stand up too fast and you get dizzy or something. That happened to me today, but I was already standing. I was in the bathroom in front of the mirror, just getting ready. And all of a sudden, I was so lightheaded and my heart was racing like crazy. And I looked at my watch and my heart rate was 74. But what does all that mean? I mean, I don't know whether to be concerned or not. I feel fine now. But I was very shaky and I don't know. I wasn't thinking, trying to think here during your talk. What was I thinking about? I have no idea.
Okay.
It just happened and it's the weirdest thing.
And sometimes, Leslie, things just happen, like we don't always have to figure out like what that was, or do we have to put it in go down a rabbit hole with it in a negative way? I mean, your body just had a surge of energy.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever felt.
So I have a question about that though. Like can you drop out of your head and into the feeling of that, not in the physical feeling, but an emotional feeling? Was there any emotions that were present? Don't go in the head.
No.
Okay.
No, nothing at all.
Okay.
I just felt my heart racing and really kind of lightheaded. Okay. I don't know what happened.
Sometimes our heart races when there's an aliveness also in our body.
Well, that could be, but it said 73 or 74 beats. That's low.
Yeah, see, you're going in your head. So
okay.
This is what I was talking about earlier, is that, when we're in the head, we're in very linear, logical, reasoned thing, or not reason thing, just, want to reason things out. But if we're talking about like the world of spirit, soul, we're talking about the world of where there is no reason. Like not everything has to have a reason. And sometimes it's important to be unreasonable. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Go ahead, Heidi.
There we go. There are 5 little words that seem to keep creeping up into my journal. What is wrong with me? And then there is another word that is consistently written called the knowing. So even though sometimes I think, what is wrong with me? It's like, there's nothing wrong with me because I know. I don't know how to express it other than
You
that.
did. It made sense.
No.
Attracted.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
this kind of a road, right? Up the mountain.
Yep.
And you know, the thing about smiling at people, it works. It truly works. I mean, I can be driving the car and there's someone standing at the corner and I'll smile and they smile back. It's like, oh my God. So everybody smile, share it, right? It doesn't cost a stinking dime, nothing. It's just part of your face that you can give to someone else. That feeling. Anyway.
Yep. Yep. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is the truth. I do it. I do it too. Sometimes I do it just because it's
Yes,
like,
it just works.
it just works. Like it makes me feel good too.
Yeah.
To have that reciprocated. Thank you, Heidi. Brenda.
You know, I knew all of this stuff was deep about all the different months and what they represent, but I just never really studied it. And I love the way you're presenting it and the way you explain the symbols, like the goat. I didn't know what the goat had to do with it. And, you know, the arch, it just all makes sense. And then it makes me wonder, who came up with all those things, you know, all those symbols, because it's really quite brilliant. So anyway, thank you for sharing it and presenting this in the way that you do it. I'm really enjoying it, and how, I mean, this month and all that it represents is really ongoing throughout every month for us or our lives.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't really stop to think of it in that way either.
No, because, and thank you, Brenda. You know, most people don't, because astrology is misunderstood, right? I mean, because it has been taken and, you know, been treated as some kind of less than science and art. And part of, I said this on the first talk, is, you know, part of what I felt from the beginning is when I finally became an astrologer, is that I wanted really to help people to understand this in a different way, and to really get the essence of what this is. And in doing the archetypal work with sacred contracts and Carolyn, it taught me what an archetype really was. And then I started seeing the planets and the signs, they're archetypes, you know, and they don't behold us to anything, but they help us to see things that we can't see. They help us to understand patterns and energy and themes that just give more context and understanding to our life. And that's what's so beautiful about it, because that's what we're all really trying to do, is to understand ourselves and understand how we operate in this big scheme of the universe. So yeah, looking at it through these archetypal lenses is brings so much clarity.
Mm-hmm. And people way back, like Plato, Aristotle, all of those, Socrates, they all embraced this and understood it.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything before we sign off?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, thank you all for coming on and joining me and sharing this so that I could share this information. It's been, yeah, this felt, like I said, this felt really powerful, to really tap into this Capricorn and do this, you know, this whole little theme here of Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. Next month in January, I'll send out the date, and it will be, of course, Aquarius. So we'll get to talk about that and what the symbolization, the archetype of Aquarius. Any Capricorns here, by the way? Karen. Okay. All right. Birthday's coming up. All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Have a wonderful
Thank
holiday.
you, Teresa.
Rest of the
Good
weekend.
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And remember, I'll send out the recording and the offer. If you guys want to dive deeper, we can do that. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.